Back to another action figure review by Ticonderous, and today we are looking at another one of the Jurassic World Rebirth Mattel figures. Now this is one that was released only recently over here. I think it's been out a small while in the States, but over here in Ireland it just got released. There was initially 2 figure packs that came out first, which was, I think it's Zora, I think her name is, and Dr. Lomas, which is the main kind of hero doctor guy, and then the character played by Scarlett Johansson. I think it's Zora is her name, almost certain. And then there was this figure, which is the Duncan Kincaid with Velociraptor set, which we'll have a look at the box in a second. And the other one is Ruben, I can't remember what his last name is in the film, but he's the basically, if you've seen the film, it's the random family that kind of ends up being tagging along with the characters in the film. So it's like the father of the family. So we're going to move the figures out of the box. You can see that is how they are displayed in the box, with the exception of Duncan Kincaid being behind this covering, basically. This is the character played by, I'm hoping pronouncing his actor name properly, but Marsha Ali, the guy that was pegged to play the new version of Blade from the Marvel Blade movie that was either filmed and didn't get released, or was in pre-production and he was pegged for playing the new version of Blade, but unfortunately it hasn't come to fruition. So this is the Duncan Kincaid and Velociraptor set. So you can see it's sporting the new redesign of the Spinosaurus in the corner, which is what a lot of the new Rebirth stuff has. And then it still has a kind of classic T-Rex logo for the Jurassic World logo. And then on the back it just has the Duncan Kincaid and Velociraptor in different languages. There is the other set. It is a Parasaurolophus, and I think it's Ruben Garcia, I think his name is, or something along those lines. And then you have legally stuff on the bottom, and that is pretty much it. It's a fairly simplistic setup. There's not too much in the way of action features. There is a downloadable app, and when I get to the dinosaur, or the Velociraptor, I will hold the camera on the scanned code for it if you want to grab it. But as it stands, there isn't too much of this packaging. It's an open window box packaging. There's no well, it's pretty much an open box packaging, with the dinosaur being secured in here and then the figures secured behind the plastic. So we're gonna cut here, and then we'll get back to the figures and we'll have a look at them in more detail. So here's the figure in all, well, figures in all their glory. So you can see that they do have some of the accessories in place, and we'll go through that in a second. We'll bring in the tape measure first, and we'll have a look at how tall these guys are. So we'll start with the human character, and you can see he stands just around. These are done in a 3 3/4 inch scale, so they're not quite 4 inch. So it's like 118 3 3/4 inch. So he's just around a 3 3/4 inch. And then we have the Velociraptor. From the highest point would probably be the ridges on the top of the head, just under the 4 inch mark as well. So Duncan Kincaid is reasonably tall, but he does come with 2 accessories. So we'll take those off and have a quick look at those. So one of the accessories he comes with is this rifle. And I just need to move something out of the way. It is the exact same rifle that came with the Zora Bennett, which is the character name for Scarlett Johansson's character. So it is, I believe it's supposed to be a tranquilizer rifle or something along those lines. If I remember in the film, they use it for tracking, or it's for firing a tracking dart for tracking the dinosaurs. So It is fairly plain. It's not painted. There's no paint apps on it. It is a fairly simplistic looking thing. And then his other accessory is he comes with these binoculars. They do seem a little oversized for the character, so if I just bring them in, you see they do fit all over the neck, but like because of his articulation, he can't really hold it up to his eyes properly. They do look a little comedically slightly oversized. I think this should be a tiny bit smaller just to fit him a bit better, but it does have a handle on it. You can kind of squeeze them into his hand. They don't really want to fit in there. Let me see, you can get them in either of his hands. You can even see they're putting stress marks on the plastic for the hand, so I'm not going to try and force it. He can hold it by the strap in one hand. So there is that. So he does have those two accessories. Now it is different to what the other characters came with. So both Zora and Dr. Lomas came with one of these, which is a kind of handy dandy backpack, which does slightly open. So he doesn't come with one of those. He does come with that. I do like the camo pattern that he's sporting on the legs, and the kind of matching beret is kind of cool as well. So for articulation on this guy, what we'll do is we'll move Mr. Velociraptor out of the way just for a moment. So articulation on this guy is he can rotate all the way around. He can do the T-pose that way. He has single jointed elbow with a swivel. So these figures are not the same articulation as the Hammond collection line. They're more in line with the Legacy collection, or the kind of standard movie style figures from any of the, was it Fallen Kingdom and Dominion lines. So if you have figures from that, you kind of know what you're getting. His head is on a ball joint. He gets some good range of movement on it. He does have his waist swivel. It is kind of interesting that it does break up the bottom of his shirt, because the bottom of his shirt is actually sculpted to the lower part of his pants. So if you are turning it, it will look a little off kilt and a little off centered. He can kick forward with his legs. He has a single jointed knee, which is quite tight on my one, and there is a swivel on that. And then he has the boots, but there's no ankle tilt or boot cut or anything along those lines. So again, and he does have peg holes on the bottom of his feet. So if you have any of the other kind of standard, this is the Claire Deering, I think her name was, figure from, I believe it's Fallen Kingdom. I can't remember if it's Fallen Kingdom or the Dominion version of her, but you can see it's similar. It's a similar articulation. So you have the single joint elbow, no wrist swivels. It's really only the Hammond collection stuff gets the extra oomph with wrist swivels and ankle articulation. So again, I'll bring in another kind of standard figure. This is the mercenary figure that was reused a few times and repacked a few times. So you can see he does stand pretty much on par with that mercenary figure if you have one of those as well. So if you have one of these, you kind of know what you're getting. He's not a bad figure. I do hope we might see some of these characters end up in the Hammond collection, but so far I think the only new characters from the films that have gotten Hammond collection release is Owen Grady. I don't think any of the other characters have gotten that yet. So we will move Duncan out of the way and we'll bring in the Velociraptor. So I really love the coloring on this one. It really reminds me of the old Jurassic Park 3 Tiger Stripe Velociraptor, even though it's not quite Tiger Stripe pattern on it, but it does have that look to it. Again, it is different to the one that came with Zara Bennett, because Zara Bennett came with a Velociraptor, and her partner in crime, I suppose, is the best way to put it, because these two characters are supposed to be kind of friends, Zara and Duncan. They both come with Velociraptor dinosaur packings. So the arms on this just rotate. There is a hinge joint at the neck and a swivel. so you get some good range of movement on the head. There is an opening jaw and closing jaw. I do like the more closed mouth look to this thing. The open jaw looks a little bit on the goofy side. They still haven't exactly nailed getting Velociraptor heads right. There is a company out there that does dinosaurs, and they've done a few based on the Jurassic Park kind of line. They're not official, but they have a way better head sculpt. They've managed to kind of capture that head sculpt, but they're way more expensive and higher end value figures, I suppose is the best way to put it. So the legs do swivel, but because they're legs, the legs are molded in a certain direction. If you like put out the leg, it's just going to fall over. There isn't any peg holes on the bottom, but this is that QR or scan code. So if you have the app and you want to scan it, I'll just hold that there. You can pause the video and scan that. I haven't actually scanned this version. I think I scanned the one for the other Velociraptor. There is tail articulation, but it's not quite. It's more just due to how they construct the actual dinosaurs. It's not really intended to be used as a tail articulation point, because if there was a proper tail articulation point, it should be on the ball joint, but it isn't. It's just on a swivel. So all in all, actually we'll get in tape measure again, because I did do the height, I didn't do the length of the Velociraptor from snout to tail. Is around 8 inches. No, that could be a little, just under 8 inches. So it is fairly long, which isn't too bad, but you get quite nice colors. It's kind of a not quite bright orange, kind of, it's like an off, I don't know, what color would you call it? It's kind of beige underneath here, but the rest of it is kind of an off thick orange, I suppose is the best way to describe it. So we will bring in the other Velociraptor. This is the one that came with Zora. I keep wanting to call her Zoe Bennett for some reason. I don't know why, but it's Zora Bennett. So you can see the claws on this one haven't been painted, whereas the claws on the newer one, at least the toe claws, have been painted on this one. Now, Mattel have done that kind of thing where they don't exactly paint the claws, but sometimes with the actual way the plastic turns out, it kind of gives a glossy effect, so it almost looks like the claws are painted. You have that nice head sculpt. It is a different head sculpt to the other one. From what I can see, I think everything, the legs are different, the arms are different, the tails are different. I believe the bodies might be the same, as in like it's the same base body. They look pretty much identical with the ridges and the detailing and the sculpting. I'm not sure if it's easy to see this on screen, but I believe the base body is the same body between the two Velociraptors. It's just everything else has been switched up. So for this one, you have the right leg kicking forward or moving forward, whereas it's kind of the polar opposite for the other Velociraptor. This one again has a very, reminds me of the male raptor from Jurassic Park 3. The Hammond Collection one kind of has that look to it with the frills. Same with this one, it has the kind of, or quills or frills, whichever way you want to call them. It has similar markings as well to those. So it's kind of like these are a mix of the newer design and the classic Jurassic Park Lost World and Jurassic Park 3 Velociraptor. It's kind of like an interesting mix between the two. So overall, I do like these designs. So what I'm going to do is push these guys back so I can bring in Zora and just move her into a more neutral position so you can see the two of them together. You can see the height of the two characters. So you can see Zora is a little bit smaller than Duncan, just because of the frame, the build, I would imagine. So she's not that much smaller, she's just a hair smaller. I'm not sure if the actors in real life have that much of a height difference. Something I didn't notice in the film, so I'm not too sure. We'll bring in the mercenary guy again, just so you can have a look-see at him And I do have some classic, this is Hammond Collection version of Ian Malcolm from Jurassic Park. So you can see what the Hammond Collection guys look like. They should still scale around the same because they're done to the same 3¼ inch scaling. And then for something a little bit bigger, because we have one handy, we'll bring in a Cobra Trooper from the G.I. Joe line. You can see, or at least should see, that he stands a little bit taller than Malcolm. Not by much, it's just like a tiny bit of height difference because it's 4 inch versus 3¼ inch, so there's only a small percentage height difference. And then for another 4 inch scale figure, bring in Penguin from the Batman. So we're gonna see if I can squeeze him in behind everyone here so you can see the height difference. So you can see Penguin does stand a good bit taller. Again, characters tend to vary in scales and sizes. So I think Penguin was actually quite a tall character, or tall, was done taller in the films, even though he's supposed to have that kind of hunched over thing. It is what it is. But overall, I do love the look of the Duncan Kincaid figure. I'm hoping to be able to find the Reuben one. I believe it's Reuben. I think that's his name. I could be completely wrong on the character name, but I believe it's Reuben. So I'm hoping to pick up that figure and the Parasol Office. I'm interested to see if it's the same Parasol Office. I'm probably butchering the name, but Parasol Office is the way I pronounce it. But I'm wondering if it's the same sculpt as the one that came with the Jurassic Park Lost World set that came with Roland Tembo and the kind of Jeep. And speaking of Jeeps and vehicles, because I have this handy and it's behind me, I will bring this thing in. I'm not sure if I did a review for this, but if you have this yoke, in fact, bear with me a second, I'm just going to pull back on the screen a bit so you can see it. So if you have one of these vehicles, this I believe came out from Dominion, or it came out from Lost, Fallen Kingdom. I think it was Dominion line. So he should, in theory, just have to move his legs into more seated position, because it's a very flat front to the front of this thing. So he should fit in there not so badly. See, all the way in. It's not quite all the way in. There we go. Now he's all the way in. So I have him and we'll let Zora. Her and him into this thing. And you won't really be able to see them. It is interesting that this thing doesn't really have an opening door on it. The only way to do it is with the dino damage thing. So if you wanted to have a kind of geared up version of this, you have the mercenary guy standing up top. Unfortunately, there was rubberized chains that go clip onto this here and here, and they have completely disintegrated over time. So bring this up. Do like a capture thing. Oops. There's the Velociraptor. In fact, I didn't believe this thing did come with a Velociraptor. What's that? There we go. Nope. It doesn't want to play ball. You get the general idea. So if you want to gear up stuff, you can fit these into most of the Jurassic Park, Jurassic World, Mattel vehicles that they released over the years. So you have that as well. You have that option, because there was really only one Jeep used in the movie, in the Rebirth movie, and there is a figure for that, or a release of that with a figure, which I haven't picked up yet. I do intend to pick it up at some point. I just haven't got around to it. And it comes with kind of main protagonist, was it antagonist? Main antagonist of the kind of film, but if you've seen the film, you know who it is. So there you go, guys. I'm going to wrap this up here. There is my video review for Duncan Kincaid. For some reason, the name reminds me of, I think it was the character from the old, not Tim Burton, but there's a kind of B-movie, monster movie kind of thing where the character is called something Kincaid. It just reminds me of that for some reason. But we'll get him to stand there. So that is Kincaid and his Velociraptor, who's still hanging from this thing. So there you go, guys. Gonna wrap this up here. I hope you enjoyed watching me messing around with these guys, and I hope you enjoyed the review for him. I picked this guy up at Smith's. I'll throw a link in the description below. They didn't seem to get very many of them in, so hopefully that might change. It sometimes on the later waves of things, they'll just get one or two of them. So it's the same with the Reuben set. It said they had one in stock in the local store, and when I went looking through all the ones that they had, I couldn't find it, and it still says it's in stock. So it's either in a box up on the shelf somewhere in there, or it's just hasn't been put out on the shelf yet. So anyway, that's beside the point. Going to wrap this up here. So if you're a fan of the Rebirth movie, or if you're just a fan of the Velociraptors, the dinosaurs, and the kind of human characters in general, the human figures, this guy looks pretty cool. He does look like he would work pretty well with any of the kind of mercenary set figures if you want to use them with the older Dominion or Fallen Kingdom stuff. So he does look like he'd fit in perfectly easily with any of those characters as well. So there you go, guys. Hope you enjoyed this review, and as always, please hit that like button, and I hope you're enjoying your day wherever you are in this world. Cheers. Thanks for watching.